Hi everyone, this is Kelly from The Truth in the Story, and today I am bringing you a look at the Curious Oracle. It's a Curious Oracle by Holly. Oh my goodness, that is tiny, tiny text. Defont. Sorry about that. I will have a link to her Etsy shop in the description box below, as well as to her website for a Curious Oracle. You cannot currently purchase these, but I contacted her today and she is putting out the 3rd edition, or is this the 3rd edition? This is the 2nd edition. The 3rd edition is coming out in the fall. And so you can sign up on her website for to be emailed if this is a deck that you're interested in. And you can get put on a list in order to be notified when she has a printing of this deck. So that's why I went ahead and did it, because I wasn't going to, because that's such a gorgeous deck. I didn't want, and if you couldn't get it, that would be frustrating. But you will be able to get this in the fall. So I decided to go ahead and do this. Plus it just helps me when I do these. It's just kind of part of my processing. So this is one of the 2nd edition. It's 28 out of 100 that the wonderful Mr. Alec had sent me in his Christmas in July box, as I call it. And so this little card that came with it, which shows the backing here of the double keys, which is also a card, says, being a most curious collection of artifacts, symbolic and divinatory in nature, pieced together from one artist's imaginary musings, this pictorial key may be utilized as both a mystical and pragmatic tool for gaining insight to questions and enlivening topics of discussion. Limited edition, 2nd edition, printing, copyright Holly Defont, 2015. In her signature, and this is the number. And I know the 1st edition I think was only 60 decks. The 2nd edition I think was 100 decks, because this is one of those ones that I waited too long and it went out and I literally was heartbroken. I was literally heartbroken because I wanted this. It was a little bit expensive, on the expensive side. Well worth it. This cardstock is absolutely divine. It was just one of those things I was going to wait until XYZ, and then it went out of print and I was devastated. So then I literally had heart palpitations when I saw in the box and thought that this might actually be what I thought it was. So it comes with, I believe there are 49 cards, and it comes with this sheet. There isn't anything here so much on like how to lay it or spreads. However, the website, which is www.acuriousoracle.com, I'm pretty sure, I will put it in a link below in the description box. There is some great spreads on there, and I will pick one of those to show you at the end of it. I spent today playing with this and using those spreads, and I quite love them. But I think just about any spread that you would use for Lenormand would work great with this. Certainly do a 9 card, certainly do, you know, I would be inclined probably not to do less than a 9 card with this. That's just me, but you certainly can do 3 cards. I don't do 3 cards really that often, even with Lenormand. So 9 cards and up, you know, there's a lot that you can do with this. It's absolutely stunning. Now, this is an oracle, but it is an oracle with a structure to it. So there are, what I guess you would call, she calls them sets. So there are 7 sets with 7 steps within each set. You could think of it as sort of, these would be 7 suits, and then you have the numbers of kind of stepping your way through the suits within that. So, but they each have keywords to those steps. That's where it starts to get a little confusing, but it doesn't really matter when you start to read it. It starts to make sense, and I'm going to show it to you in its sets. But for example, this first set is the body, right? And so within the body there is the lotus fire, the honeybee, the lily, the tree, the broken wing, the Mercury rising, and the phoenix. These are steps through Let me spread them out, and then it will make sense. I'm jumping ahead of the game. This is why I want to do this, because it helps me to figure things out. So we're going to step through this so that you can see what I mean. I think it will be a little bit clearer that way. But in a nutshell, we have 7 sets of 7 cards that step through kind of a process or progress through that particular set. And so we're going to look at those each one by one so that you can see that. In this particular sheet, it lines out the set. So here we have the body, motion, intuition, heart, mind, blessings, and spirit. Those are the 7 sets. Within the body, each of the sets, we step through a process, just like stepping through the major arcana. We're going through a progress through the body of manifest, relationship, growth, structure, lesson. The 5s are definitely like difficult numbers. It's disruption going on. 6 for healing and 7 for epiphany. So within the body, we're going to step through those processes. Within motion, we're going to step through those. Within intuition, we're going to step through those. Within heart, we're going to step through those, and so on, all the way through each of the sections. And so it's easy to find it. So the top number, not the name so much, but the top number shows you what set it's in, and the bottom number shows you what step it is in. Okay, the names are their own. Each card has its own names and its own keyword for that particular step. So the names of the sets and the names of the steps do not show up on the card. It shows the number of the set and the number of the step. And each individual name has its own title and its own keyword. Now, for myself, because truthfully, I think the rest of it does have little paragraph meanings, which I'll read a couple of, but I think you can very easily read these just with the title and the keyword. But I made myself, in my divination little black book, because this is definitely a deck I will be using, I've added it in, and I have the sets, what are the names of each of the sets and what are the names of each of the steps, so that I can just have that kind of set aside and be able to access that so that I can, until I get really comfortable with it, because that's a bit to remember, right? So I think that this is, and you can also download this off of the website too, if by chance you lost it, or if you want to take a look at it closer and read before purchasing, you can look at this on the website. But for example, if you pulled a card, so say you pulled, let's get a more inner one. So say you pulled this card on your little sheet, you would say, okay, well, it's the 4th set of heart, and it is the 4th step. And so you would find it, go across, go down, and you would find it Orange Grove. This is for fidelity, because of course we are stepping through the heart, and we're going to go through all these. Not all these, but we're going to go through the whole steps. Joy, fulfillment, it's very hard for me to read. Sustenance, and this is not the fault of this, it's the fault of me needing to get new glasses. Although it is very, very small. Joy, fulfillment, sustenance, emotional shelter from a primary relationship, mutual respect, loyalty, friendship, love, a happy marriage or partnership. And it makes sense. If you're in the realm of the heart and the keyword is fidelity, that's something that you can, I think, run with. The sheltering grove of fidelity, you can run with that in terms of a relationship. And so it's not difficult to just run with these cards in a sense of intuition. There's not a ton of text, and it doesn't need to. It's similar to Lenormand style, and so you don't need to have a whole entire page full of meaning. This is plenty. Personally, even just the title and the keyword, I think, from my brief experience with it, is plenty as well. With the images, of course, that has to do with how good they set up the titles and the names and the keywords, as well as the images. So let's go ahead. The cardstock is stunning. Here is the back of the cards. It's absolutely beautiful. This is on the par with the first, I'd have to pull it out, but this is that beautiful matte stock that is on par with, say, the first edition Wild Unknown, that kind of feel. It is matte, it is smooth, it is thick. Again, you know, I wouldn't even rifle shuffle this myself, just because there's no need to. I don't really like rifle shuffling the first edition Wild Unknown, but this is small, really easy to shuffle. It's superb. This cardstock is amazing. So yes. Now, what I really want to do is I want to step through these cards. So we're going to go one at a time. Let me see. I'm not sure how I want to do this. I think we're going to zoom in. I want you to see these cards because they are absolutely stunning. Okay, so this is the first set, which is about the body. Okay, so this is all about physicality. It is the body. And so the first step through this set is, I know it seems confusing, but it really does make sense as you're going to step through and see a progress. So I'm not going to pay so much attention to the titles here as how we're stepping through. So in the step of manifesting, we have energy, right? This is the energy. This is the spark of physical generation. It talks about, it's that spark of life within the body. The next step with the honeybee here is about relationships, and this is nourishment. A beehive nourishes the body. They collect honey to feed their young, to build their homes, to be able to lay their eggs, to have more young. It's a community here that is nourishing each other, right? The third step is all about growth, and here we actually have growth. We have this lily that is growing. So within the body, we are at growth, and we have growth. The next step is about structure, and this is in the body. This is lineage. Let's read what this says here for lineage. Your roots, your history, that which supports your future growth, the threads of experience, wounds, and wisdom that rise out of your ancestors and move through your life. So this is that physical passing on from your ancestors. Beautiful. Look at, so then when we hit the fives, which are the more difficult cards because of the number, we have the broken wing. This is in this step is of a lesson, and here we have wound. We learn from our wounds, right? The next sixth step is about healing, and so we have medicine because this is about the body. This is that physical medicine here. It's the material path to healing, the physical things that you can do to lead to healing. And then we have the seventh step of epiphany. We have rebirth. So if we start with that seed of energy, we go through this process, and then we make our way to physical rebirth, right? So see, you can see that in the realm of the body, we've stepped through those particular processes. So in the next step, or the next set, see, I'm going to be very confusing to all of you. I can see that already. Let me get the right. So the second set is about motion. This is about movement and or lack thereof, but this is about movement, motion. And so in the first manifestation phase, we have stability. And it talks about each of these things. So the state of being still. So it's still about motion. Are we moving or not? Are we not moving? But this is about stillness. In relationship with movement, we have expression, the way that we express ourselves. Communicating your presence to the world through your words and your actions. We then have growth, which is the journey. How gorgeous is that? How gorgeous is that? I mean, I want to try to paint that. It's so beautiful. So this is in the step 3, which is of growth. It's the journey in terms of motion. Number 4 is the structure, and here we have triumph. So this is motion, but it's been structured here. And so we have an achievement, that sense of achievement that has been in this journey that you've taken. In the 5th step, which is the lesson, we have passages. We have to go through certain passages. There's transitions ahead. Be open-hearted. Change is coming. We're going through the gate. We're going under the bridge. There's some changes about to take place. In the 6th step, we have healing, and this is escape. We're getting out of a sticky situation, right? It's still about movement, and it's about healing. Well, how would we heal? It's getting out of that situation. Liberation, flight, getting up and out. And then the epiphany is eternity. And this says that there are no temporal obstacles before you. You have reached a point of integrity that cannot be undone by the actions or expectations of others. So you've just kind of reached that. So we just know that 7 is sort of that epiphany. 7 is that sort of climax that happens at the end of all these steps. So that was the 2nd set of motion. The 3rd set here is that of intuition. This card came up for me in a reading that was just like spot on in this position. It was just really crazy because it was something about, it was like in the position of how do you express your magic or something like that. And it came up with intuition. It was really pretty cool. So this is about intuition. And so the first step of manifestation is intuition, that spark of intuition that we have. Relationships, we have messages. So we're sending, it's this, what are these messages that we are gaining? It says here, receiving messages, opening to the source of wisdom in nature, communicating with the non-corporeal spirits of nature, paying attention to the whispers on the wind, which is much like intuition, but this is listening to ourselves, and this is listening to the still small voice. 3, we have the veil, which as you can see is the back of the card. This is step 3 of growth, and here we have the veil, reaching into hidden knowledge, high priestessy feel, moon feel, even the keys of the Hierophant feel, but we're hidden knowledge. We're getting into the depths of knowledge here in the step 3 of growing in the field of, in the set of intuition. We're digging even deeper here. The 4th one, which is structure, we have direction, finding our path in terms of intuition. It's that kind of the compass wheels going here and zeroing in on things. We're getting a more structure in where we are going. Pulling in alignment with your path it talks about. The next step is a lesson, and here we have slumber. So this is a period of kind of removing yourself from a struggle, kind of like the 4 of Swords feel to it. The 6th set, which is step, which is healing, is the dreamscape. So this is getting insight and awareness that comes when you submit to the darkness. So you submit to the slumber, right? This is the lesson here. When you submit to the slumber, then you get the dreams. Interesting. Look at how gorgeous that is. And so the 7th epiphany here is illumination. The clouds of confusion are lifted and the personal truth emerges. That's wonderful. Love that. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so then we go to the 4th set of the heart. So this is to do with relationships. And here we have the manifesting is of beauty. This is a spark. That spark that says you see somebody across the crowded room and you say, I know you, or I fancy you. You are lovely. And everybody's loveliness is different. 2, the relationship, we have love. Makes sense? Growth, we have creativity here. Flourishing creativity and abundance. The beauty of seeing your visions manifest in the world. Love that. Then, of course, we talked about structure. We have fidelity. If we're talking about love and we are in structure, this is a sturdy relationship. This is a committed relationship. Here for the 5th step, we have grief, because of course this is love. And so for the lessons that we learn in love that are difficult are in losing those that we love. The 6th step, we find healing in nature. I thought that was quite beautiful. Connecting and communing with the great spirit of nature. This is going to lead to empathy and healing from the past relationships. Beautiful. And then the epiphany here, we have inspiration. The light of peace is shining upon you. You have reached a state of heart grace. That is a reflection of divine love. So we have that kind of beauty, which is more physicality, more of the physical world, and we end with that epiphany of the sense of divine beauty and divine love. See how lovely this is? I mean, this is like a well thought out little system here. I'm quite in love with it. I will know I'll be using this for many, many years to come. Here we have the 5th set, which is the mind. Of course, we have a bird here, we have a sword here, and the that beginning manifestation is with the intellect, because this is about the mind. We have intention with relationships. What is our intention with other people? How are we communicating? What are our intentions for free will, for forging? It talks about forging purpose, planning, mapping. I quite love this kind of, how are you going to mentally sit down and do this? For me, it's the tower in Lenormand. Get up. Kind of get up above things, get perspective, and start to do that planning phase. I love that there's a card like that here for it. It makes me very happy. So in the 3rd, we have growth. And so here we have movement to pride. And of course, this can be both positive and negative, but this is recognizing somebody's inherent value and accomplishments. Can that go into shadow? Sure, if it's in a shadow position, but that can also be very positive in understanding your worth. In the position, or the step, I'm sorry, of structure, we have conviction. We have the structure of our mental and our intellectual convictions. Love it. And obviously, I'm not reading through all of these. You can, again, read these on the website if you want to, as well as a lot more information about the system. In the 5th step, we have the lesson, and we have the mask, which is deception. And so here we have examine the ways you may practice self-deception or engage in the deceivings of others. And you may also be being deceived depending on the question, right? Number 6 is kind of the healing is meditation. So we need to kind of take a step back and get clarity. So we need to, that's how we're going to kind of see through the deceptions, is getting clarity. The epiphany moment for the mind is wisdom, which makes sense. Again, we move from intellect to wisdom at the end. And there's my spider that keeps following me about. Now, in the 6th set, this is the set of blessings. So we have good luck here. The blessing is manifested with luck. The relationship is guardian. That's when we have a guardian, somebody getting counsel. We're helping each other. We're getting, our blessing from somebody else and or giving it to somebody else. Growth, we are going to have riches. That is a blessing to get, right? The gift of riches in the form of something precious and rare. That can be finances, but that can also be other types of resources. Another blessing in the 4th position of structure is recognition. We've seen that a bit with the structure. In the 5th lesson of blessings, we have ephemera. It says, don't cling to that which seems too good to be true. Passing fancies will dissipate as quickly as they appeared. So you see the snowflake that's going to disappear as soon as it touches anything warm. So, there are things that come that might look too good to be true, and they might be. Because again, this is the fifth step, which is our harder lessons, our more difficult things. Here we have under 6, which is healing, we have prosperity. This is the blessings. That certainly makes sense. It says a path manifests and open to a flow of abundance in your life. Love it. And then the epiphany is magic. I quite love that. Magic is afoot and miracles abound. This red cup is full of magic. Love it, love it. So it goes from luck all the way up to a more kind of higher knowledge of magic in the blessings. The final is number 7, which is spirit. Love that card. I love all these cards. I haven't even hardly been sitting there looking at the images because I'm trying to make sure you understand how it's going, but you've seen all the images as we go. So here the manifestation of spirit is the potential. It's that beginning spark, the spark of your divine spirit it talks about. Look at how gorgeous that is. The relationship is the reflection. Time to reflect on one's experience, memory, and perception to gain deeper understanding of the situation at hand. In growth, we have renewal. Beautiful apple blossom. Opening of the spirit to the greater we, it says. In structure, we have protection. Look at that. I don't know what Nazar is. It must be this maybe all-seeing eye. Yes, you are shielded from any negativity that may be in your sphere. So it's a protecting you from negative energies. Love this card. Memento Mori, that understanding what it means to be mortal. This is in the 5th place. The time has come for a relationship, lesson, or journey to end. Make amends, forgive past trespasses, and gather your strength to go on in its absence. It's a closing door. Love it. You need to have that kind of card. The 6th one of healing is transformation. Look at that rising up here. The metamorphosis that follows the dramatic sacrifices or endings. So there's the ending, and there is the transformation and the moving onward. So it's like the combination of these two is like the death card in tarot. I love this card. Here we have the White Queen as the Hierophant. How would you say that? It's Hierophant, but instead it is with a Y at the end. Hierophany. The spirit reconnecting with the source. If you know how to say that, please let me know. Divine presence manifests itself in signs, messages, and prayers answered. Pure purpose is revealed and mysteries unfold before you. So again, we start with the potential and we end with that sense of pure spirit that is fully realized. So you can just see the progress through these particular suits or sets. And again, you can see this on the website, but as you've seen, and I know I haven't paid a ton of attention to the brain dead. Haven't paid attention to the images because they are simply stunning and they speak for themselves, and I wanted to make sure that you got the structure, you understood the structure, because that's what's so amazing about this, is it's not just titles and keyword, which is fantastic, but it's also a progression between each of those sets. Now, from a geomancy standpoint, I love that you could do 4 cards, get 2 figures, and combine them for that 3rd figure, which I am going to show you in a moment. But let's try one of the readings that is on the website. Okay, so I went ahead and wrote out one of the readings that was on there, and I had to do this one because it's based on the 7 sets. So how wonderful is that? So we have body, movement, intuition, heart, intellect, blessings, and spirit, and it's kind of laid out in a diagonal. It's called the State of the Soul spread. So I thought that was a wonderful one to do, and so I'm actually going to do a nice table shuffle because I don't want to rifle shuffle these because they are, I should test it, but I don't really want to. I don't want to. They're just so wonderful, but I want to give it a good mix. I'll do one careful one just so we can see how because I really tell how a stock is. Obvious cardstock is based on it, but you know, it's a small cardstock. Let me put these right side up because I can fast forward this, but I wanted to give it a really good shuffle. Obviously you can tell reversals. It doesn't talk about using reversals, but you certainly could if you wanted to. Some of that is going to tell us what it means positionally, but you certainly could. I will have to try it sometime. I do use Deste with reversals, so I'm much more open to reversals in this type of thing than I used to be. But for now, I'm going to leave it upright. I'm going to be very careful. Yeah, I mean, you can do it, but I would be very careful because I wouldn't want to bend the stock. Although it's so nice, you probably can. But when they're short like that, you don't have a lot of room to flex. And personally, I really do, generally with Lenormand, do a side shuffle like this. Although it feels, obviously, it's a little thicker because it's thicker cardstock, and it is also 49 cards instead of 36. But it shuffles so beautifully that you're going to want to shuffle it this way, just so that you can feel it slip slide. I am absolutely in love with this deck. I mean, this is something that eventually I'll be putting in my shop for readings because it's just gorgeous. I have a section of like other oracles, and it will definitely be going in there eventually after I work with it for a while, because that's the nature of knowing how much I love something. Okay, so we're going to lay, I don't know, I'll have to adjust them to make sure they last. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Let me make sure that you can see them all. I'll hold them up when we're talking on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so there's all 7 of the cards. And so let's walk our way through the positions. So the first position is the body, and it says where you are physically at. And so this is about the lineage. This is the lineage card. So we are in the first, which is interesting. That's something to know, right? We are in the set of the body, and we are in a position of the body. So that actually has also happened here. But we are in the body, so that to me, you know, amplifies that. And we are in the fourth step of structure, so needing to gain some structure in the body, in the area of the body. And it does talk about our lineage. You know, first thing that pops, because this is about our physicality. It thinks, okay, some of the things physically about ourselves are genetic, but some of the things also need help with structure. And so that speaks to me of needing to have more structure in my eating habits and in my exercise, because this is about the physical, my physical aspect, and I'm needing more structure to be brought into that. That is what's coming to mind. My ancestors are saying, look, take care of your body. Now, in the second position of movement, we again have the set, the correct set within that field. So that to me also again lends weight. And so movement says, how do you move through your world? And this is the key. The message here is the relationship set, and it's about expression, and that is certainly the truth. Most of my interactions is to do with expressing myself intellectually, divinatory, these kinds of ways. And in terms of relationship, I'm extremely expressive with the people that I'm close to. It's a lot of communication going on back and forth, and so that makes sense, right? And then we have in the position of intuition, which is how do you tap into your intuition? Basically, we have dreamscape. So this is in the third set of intuition. Again, then we have the intuition in its intuition. Again, to me, that gives it weight. And it is the sixth step, which is the blessings. And so my dreams are actually a blessing to tap. I need to pay attention. I always have, but I may right now need to really pay attention that my dreams have always been extremely powerful. It's not something I've ever done a lot of videos on, but very much so. And so that certainly makes sense. The fourth position here is of the heart, and here we have the sword in it. So we have this, I know, is in the second, which is motion or movement, is we have in the position of the heart, and we have triumph here. So the question for heart is how do you experience love and relationships, and apparently triumphantly, which I'll take that. In the next position, which is where are we at for 5, the fifth position is of intellect, and how do you learn and how do you communicate is what this is, and it's through my intuition, which is quite interesting, right? So we have the intuition, place of intuition, and the intuition card. So we have that how key intuition is for me, just in how I communicate and how let's see what this actually says, because I think that's really cool. The spark of connection to the other world, memory of what is before, embodiment, sight into the intangible realm, which goes with dreamscapes, gut knowledge and unseen senses. So that's pretty cool. Again, this has shown up a couple times in similar spaces for me last night and today. The sixth set is our blessings, and it's like, what are you attracting? And we have the second set of movement and the epiphany step of eternity. So let's see what I'm attracting with eternity. So this is to eternity. There are no temporal obstacles before you. You have reached a point of integrity that cannot be undone by the actions or expectations of others. That's what I'm attracting to me. That's lovely. I will take that as well. In spirit, it says, how do you feed your soul? How are you fulfilled? And what's interesting is that I have the passages card. This is in the realm of movement, and it is in the fifth of lessons. And so that's quite interesting, right? So how am I actually fed and fulfilled? It is through, it's through getting through those transitional and those passage points, those areas in which are difficult. It's making it through those and getting those through that actually ends up also feeding my spirit. So how powerful is that? That's pretty wonderful. And so this is an example of the state of the soul using the positions of the sets. Quite love that. We'll definitely be doing that much, much, much. Now, I just want to show you one thing that popped into my mind as soon as I saw the double numbers on the cards, because you don't get that very often, do you? So what I was thinking here, and I will just give you an example of it. So if we had a question, let's say, about somebody was thinking about changing their jobs. And I don't generally like making up questions, but I just want to give you a little, show you this, because this isn't going to mean much to anybody but myself and some few people out there who also love geomancy like me. But I always look for ways to pull geomancy in, and I particularly like this because what I would do is pull 4 cards. So if the question is, is this appropriate time maybe for me switching jobs? So I have 4 cards here. We could simply look at the cards. So we have blessings, and then we have luck coming to us. We have in the motion, we have expression. It's time to get out there and communicate. We have in the field of the body, we have medicine. This is going out and doing physical things for healing, but that's still a good thing. And we have triumph. So for me, these are very positive cards that say, yeah, get out there and do it, right? Now, so what I would do is make up a geomancy figure of the top and the bottom. So the top are the sets and the sets, and the bottom are the steps. So I'm going to use the sets. We go right to left with geomancy. So, and I'm going to read right to left here. So we have to the soul, so that would be double dots. I don't know why I stuck it way over here, but that's okay. Well, number 1 is a single dot. Number 2 is a double dot. And number 6 is a double dot. So there we have Rubus. So this is about passion. This would be the querent, how they feel about this. Very passionate, maybe not exactly stable energy, but a very passionate energy, very mobile energy. They're ready to go. They're ready to move. They're ready to move on here with this job. And to do with the question itself, I would use the bottom. We have 2. We have 6, which is a double dot as well. We have 2, which is a double dot. And we have 1, which is a single dot. So here we have actually sorrow. So this is a downward energy, right? This is an energy that is very stable, but it's downward, lower, expectations are lower. The things can be stuck, or things can also be stabilizing, where it says, you know, we really shouldn't have a lot of movement. But the answer comes from combining the two. 2 and 2 is going to be 2. 2 and 1 is going to be 1. 2 and 2 is going to be 2. And 2 and 1 here is going to be 1. And so here we actually have gain or acquisition. It is acquisito. So this is a profit, gain. What you want is within your grasp. So if depending on the wording of the question, we would actually, that would be a very positive indicator that yes, now is the time. Now, obviously, when you have 7 numbers, we have 4 that are going to be active numbers and 3 that are going to be passive numbers. So the chances of getting an active number are a little bit higher than it would be when we would have sort of the full thing. But it's still one of those things that you trust in the cards that come up. It's still divinatory. I would certainly be willing to give this a try at the end of readings just to see how it plays out and how it relates to things, how it seems to go. So it's not an exact system for doing this, but neither necessarily is tarot. If I actually went through and did everything, I'm not sure that it would be 50-50 either, and it quite works really well with that. So, but just in the spirit of, you know, being realistic, this is a factor here. Now, the last thing is that while we do have the 5th that I personally want to address, because people are going to ask me this because you know how I am with oracle systems. While we do have the 5th row here of difficult things, right? That's only 7 cards out of the 49 that are what I would say in shadow, right? These are not necessarily much of these. You would either, I think, need to be very precise in your questions, or you may need to use reversals. So let's just give it a good old table shuffle again. And just for kicks, you know, just because I want to see how this might work out. I'm a little more open to this with this kind of a system, because again, I use Deste in that manner as well. And let's just give it a nice, good, old-fashioned table shuffle again. And, you know, if you're just pulling this for yourself and things like that, it wouldn't really matter, right? If you're not getting real specific on your messages, it really wouldn't much matter. But if you want to make sure to have, you know, a full range of things, then you do want to leave things open for the possibility of shadow, because obviously life isn't all shadow. So let's just take that same question of, you know, in terms of work, a person wanting to leave a particular job, not knowing if it's particularly right time to do so, whether they should stay or should I go? There's actually a spread that is a either or spread to a path, a crossroads spread that looks really nice on their site as well. Okay, so let's take a look here. I'm just going to set it out as a 9 card. Plus you can see. Hopefully you can see that. I'll make sure that you can see. Okay, so if we were just to be looking at this really quickly, because again, I'm not trying here to go into in-depth reading. This is just literally a throwing out there reading. But if I was going to be using this in a reading, I would look to the middle and I would look here. So we have the idea of potential and it is reversed. Right, and so that would say to me that there's some problems here in the potential, right? We have the end of something reversed, so it's kind of telling me maybe leaving this job isn't exactly something that you might want to leave right away. The path may not be open for this right now. We have the Raven in, which is a spark of intellect, but that's the beginning of the mind, and so it's like, okay, we still need some thought to do. This is how I would in general read this, and for that particular question I would say there's still some pros and cons to do. There's still some thinking through to do. We do have the grief card here, which is upright, so it would stay in its position, right? And so that is telling us that that this may not lead to things the way that you want it. We have the torch card here, which is an idea of intention, and it is reversed. So overall, I would say that this isn't the right timing for it, but that doesn't mean not to do it. It just means, because we have the dreamscape, the dream to move is still there, but the inspiration isn't completely there, in that sense of really getting this is a really key there, as well as this. The dream is there, the desire is there, but it's probably not quite the right time to do this yet. There needs to be some of that mental work done, checking things out, making sure that you're going to go in the right direction, looking for the right job. Let's not just dive into something until we've really got things planned out still. So that's how, in a nutshell, for a specific question like that I would read, and I think that actually does work quite nicely, because again, many of these are positive cards. Now if you were just doing this for personal growth and transformation, that's not necessarily necessary, but if you wanted to use it more Lenormand-y, more in that kind of sense, you do need a little bit more balance between light and dark, and so this would be a way to do it. I will be messing around with this to see how it plays out in this manner. If you have this deck and you've ever used any reversals, let me know. Again, I don't normally use reversals, but I love this deck so much that I want to be able to use it in a wide range of things, and so I actually think that would be a good way to pull some more practical readings out, and to be able to access both light and shadow with either that, or again, you would need to be real clear about your positions. So what I would do then, which is what I do with tarot, I generally read for positions. So then what I would be very careful to do if I was going to read them all upright on that same thing, I would say, okay, what is a pro of leaving, right? What is a con of leaving? So this might lead to some negativity coming your way, this leaving this job, a pro and a con here. I might even pull 2 pros and 2 cons, you know, depending on how I wanted to manage that. But we would want to make sure that we brought some positions in to bring some shadow in, so that we know so that we have that full range going on. So that can be done with positions, but in the end, any outcome card is going to be predisposed to be a positive aspect, and so you might want to play around with that. So I'm going to be playing around with it. I will let you know how that actually turns out, but look at that. It's so gorgeous, and the colors. Now she also has a tarot deck that's called the Incidental Tarot that has a lot of changes to the traditional tarot. I'm going to look through, but just visually, I would not mind picking that up in order to work with those two together. You know how I am about that. And that would also introduce some, light and shadow as well. It's a pip deck, which I've been on the hunt for anyways, but I need to take a look at what the changes are, and I haven't sat down to do that quite yet, but she does have other things, and again, her shop link will be in the description below. So this has been a look at a Curious Oracle by Holly Dufont. And I talked to her again today. They will be coming out in the fall, and she did give me the thumbs up for kind of doing this review. I told her, I said I don't want to do this until I knew whether or not these were going to be available for people, because I didn't want people to be upset about seeing this gorgeousness and then not being able to get it. So thank you all for watching. Thank you, Alex, and I hope that you all have a wonderful, wonderful day.